Alright everybody, welcome back. Today, 2003 F-150. We're going to pull this transmission out of here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to support the transfer case, and then we're going to take the cross member out. And since it has a drain plug, I'm going to drain this fluid. Two nuts for the mount. 21 millimeter. Now you take some weight off. Cross member. So on this cross member, I take out these two completely, these two completely, these two completely, and then these two I just loosen and I leave that on there. And then on this side, it's 315s. This is what they look like on the back side so they don't spin. This goes on the inside, hold the nuts. Okay. And that whole thing comes out of there. All right, so now that I got the cross member out of there, I take this mount out, take these drive shaft bolts out, and just leave it hang right here. And take the front drive shaft off. Got a bolt missing. These new Duo sockets, GP Duo, these things are bad to the bone. So the next thing I'm going to do after I got the drive shafts loose is I'm going to take these torque converter bolts out. Now, nuts on a Ford. And so we're going to go through this hole to do that. Now you just turn them around one by one, get a short socket in there, and get the nuts off. And now the way I turn the motor is I take this bottom fan shroud bolt out and that one out. And then I pry this back a little bit and I stick a block of wood in there to hold it back, and then I turn the motor by those bolts on the front of the crankshaft to get around to each nut, because otherwise there's no way to turn this around. So that's what I do. Now you can see up in here that I've got those bolts out, and I've got a piece of wood right there holding it back, and I'm able to get my ratchet on here. So I'll turn the motor with that. I'll put a little cheater on there probably, because it's a 3/8 ratchet, because if you get a 1/2 inch, it's too long in there. So it barely fits. Okay. This hole is kind of hard to get through sometimes. Okay. Gotta be real careful about how you do that, or you'll round them off. Now that you got all your torque converter bolts out, what we're going to do next is take all of this linkage off right here, take the four-wheel drive linkage off, and take the transfer case off. All right, to get this linkage off, take it off the transfer case side. This shifter linkage bolts onto the side of the transmission, 13/16, one big bolt. Unbolts the thing from the side of the transmission. The big bolt. And it just kind of obnoxiously hangs in the way the whole time. These cooler lines are a 19mm, and sometimes this whole thing will turn, so you got to get something to hold this side. We'll see what happens here. Yep, the whole thing turns. 1 inch enough. 1 inch is enough. And that one's broke loose. And that one's broke loose. All right, now that they're broke loose and they're just hand tied, I'm gonna leave them so they don't leak while I'm doing the rest of everything. All right, now we're gonna drain this fluid. All right, so the only thing left after this drains is to put this jack under the transmission and take this transfer case off. So that is 13mm, 6 of them all the way around. This 13mm wobble gear wrench is the way to go on those top ones. I mean, it is so hard otherwise. And sometimes you got to push so hard on these things that it hurts your hand. So I got to get a rag and or gloves and be able to put, because sometimes the first time you ever take these out, they're Loctited in and they do not want to come out, and they're hard the whole way out. It's like they're almost cross-threaded because they're so hard to come out. So if you're struggling, they will come out. You just gotta fight them the whole way. When I take them out, I clean all that off of them, so that way if I ever have to do it again, like this one, then I can get them out real easy. Yeah, see how long those are? And when they have Loctite on them all the way out, it's freaking horrible. Oh man, see, that one's tight. Ooh. All right, now I got this thing on a jack. Gonna let it down. You take the rest of the bolts out of this transfer case and get it off. All right, so what we're gonna do now is break loose this nut that's on the back of the transmission that's Loctited on there. It's really hard to get off if the transmission is on a table, so we do it while it's hooked to the engine still. Now that you have that transfer case off, everything's supported. Next thing we're gonna do is housing bolts. Bam, 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 bam. There's a bunch of them around there. We're gonna get all those out. Then when it's all just sitting on the jack, disconnected from the engine, then I'm gonna take these lines off. So they leak very last. So now that this is completely loose, we are going to take these off, put a pan down here as far as we can, catch what we can. These things up here out of the way. All right, there it is, all the way out. Not much to it if you're taking it off a Power Stroke. If you're taking it off a gas motor, it's going to be a little different, and you're going to have exhaust in the way, and you're probably going to have 4 studs on your converter. So anyway, not too much to it. All right, everybody, thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next one.